Recently I listened to a podcast episode about Carmen Sandiego. And the people on the podcast hadn't done research, really. They were just talking about, what they remember about Carmen Sandiego.
Okay.
Well, I was surprised to learn that apparently, some of the characters in the Netflix reboot were characters in the old show, too.
Oh, yeah. I think, Zach Ivy player...
Yeah. Zach and Ivy apparently, were, detectives trying to catch Carmen.
Yeah. I think Chase Devenau was as well.
Yeah, Chase and... what's her name? The girl? I forgot.
Oh, Miss Argent?
Yeah, Agent Argent. I mean, she has a first name.
I just remember, Miss Argent, because the dude.
Yeah. They are, they're the characters that you play as in Carmen Sandiego, video games.
It's cool.
And,
because they did do She-Ra again, essentially, with Carmen Sandiego's plotline. Indoctrinated.
I still haven't. Okay. Yeah. I haven't been keeping up with San Diego, but I do know. Yeah.
It's good. They ended it, I'm pretty sure.
Well, yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Okay. I say pretty sure because I don't actually remember that much about the final. Other than it was good.
I would definitely rewatch Carmen Sandiego all the way through at some point. It's worth it.
It's got good style.
I need to rewatch at least the second season today.
It's a little hard to watch because of how much of a kid's show it is sometimes. At least for me. Where it's you have to go to Argentina, and it's oh yeah, Argentina, home of the insert reference to Argentina here. And wait, what am I doing? This is the preset level. I'm stupid. But Argentina, home of the insert reference here. It's haha, that's right. But did you also know that it has insert historical facts here? It's and then, Zach is oh boy, I love insert, wrong reference to food here. It's no, actually, you're thinking of insert actual correct world food reference here, and then you do that every episode. And that's rough.
No, that's the other show.
That's the bread and butter of Carmen Sandiego. It's a geography show.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it does force the cast of characters to be not white.
It's a geography franchise.
Mm-hmm. You know what else is a geography franchise?
What?
The United States.
Nice. Good colonialism joke.
But anyway, the plot apparently of the old games, I think the old cartoon show too, I don't know, is that Carmen Sandiego used to be a detective or whatever before she turned to a life of stealing.
I mean, isn't Carmen Sandiego in the games a fucking super criminal? She steals the concept of language.
Yeah, she steals Atlantis, stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah, but Agent Argent, whose name I can't remember right now, but she and Carmen used to be partners, is the thing, and so that's part of how they track down where Carmen is they use personal information that they know about her.
Ah, that makes sense.
It's according to the memory of the people I was listening to on this podcast, it wasn't there was implications there that they were more than just partners.
That's fair. I mean, there's implications in the show that they're more than just partners or friends, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know before when I started watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine, that was the first time I learned that detectives are police officers.
Yeah, right? Because you always think of PIs. But no.
Let's fuck that though. Solving mysteries shouldn't be sanctioned by the government.
Well, that's why you have the PIs.
Yeah.
anyone,
anyone could be a detective. I think it shouldn't be a job necessarily. I don't know.
I mean, I think you should get paid if you solve a mystery.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of bad alignment detectives out there. Insurance investigators, they fucking suck. That the fact that that's a job at all is the worst thing. do wish... I mean, each one of these Pikmin, I guess you could say it has artificial intelligence, although not a lot of it. But I do wish the Pikmin AI was better in certain ways. Like, sometimes it takes them a really long time to, like, circle around to where they can grab something to grab it, and, like, that sucks and I hate it. Alright.
I saw a video recently about, like, it was, like, going really in-depth on Pac-Man. Like, just the original Pac-Man.
Oh, yeah, because all the ghosts, like, chase differently, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my god. They all have, like, different personalities.
And, like, you know, all the stuff that goes into how they act that the way they each do differently.
Huh.
It's interesting.
I wonder if a lot of that theory can be applied to, like, Pac-Man world records. Because Pac-Man isn't... Well, I guess I was going to say Pac-Man isn't a game that you speedrun, but that's probably not true. You probably do speedrun Pac-Man. But, like, it's different from having a world record in Pac-Man of, like, going on for a really long time. But, like, I wonder how much... I'm pretty sure the Pac-Man world record is, like, pretty solid. Like, I don't think it changes much. Like, a guy did it and, like, nice.
Yeah, Pac-Man's probably one of those that, like, especially the original Pac-Man, which only has one board.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's going to be a way to perfect it, I think.
Solved game, as they say.
What are your thoughts on it, on whether or not rock, paper, scissors is a solved game?
I mean, I think it's too simple to count as a solved game. Because, like, I feel like if rock, paper, scissors was a solved game, then there would be a way to win every time.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, is there, like, some psychological trick to win every time?
That's the idea.
Okay. I do think that's a lot.
I mean, like, I don't know how to play Melee, but, like...
Well, Melee is a solved game, says Melee elitists, so...
Well, that's
Whoops.
That's a different... Melee is not like Pac-Man.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it doesn't have Pac-Man in it.
I agree on every possible level.
Melee can't be a solved game because it's a multiplayer game. That's my feeling.
Like a
So you're saying that, would that also apply to rock, paper, scissors?
Well...
That it can't be a solved game because...
Yeah, actually, I would say that does apply to rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
Because the reason it's not a solved game is because you never know... Like, you're never really certain about who's going to throw what.
Like, if there was one person who's the best Melee player in the world, then they can't fight themselves, which means that... I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
That is true. I appreciate this logic. Fuck you, Baltimore! Or Water Wraith. My mouth like automatically said Baltimore.
Bulbamore.
That's my evil faction Pikmin OC, Bulbamore. He whistles the Pikmin into his mouth so he can eat them.
sounds like a, you know, it sounds like a Bulborb aligned version of the president.
Yeah. He's on the shelf next to my Ruby OC that can control Grim for insert reason here, and my I'm trying to think of any other. My Smash Brothers Brawl OC who can control Primids independently of the Ancient Minister. Because you haven't made an evil OC until he can control the evil faction for insert reason here. That you feel until you can control the evil faction for insert reason here that you feel is terribly underrepresented as a faction as a whole. Because you're too early in the story for the writers to have actually let the pin drop, but you're also impatient as hell.
Well,
this is the call-out post.
Is it true that Ruby's going to end after Volume 12? Because I've heard that from multiple sources, but I don't know where it originally...
I haven't heard that at all. I mean, it'd be a fucking shame if it ends, because then Rooster Teeth would be back to doing literally nothing, which is a goddamn waste of animation resources that they definitely have.
Like, I'd be fine with it ending there. Like, 12 is a good number.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it'd be a shame to see a series that was supposed to never end actually end. But I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who I'm so certain are like, oh, thank God it's ending. They can finally be done bastardizing Monty Ohm's dream.
I don't know. Like, Like, that person could exist.
There's a lot of people who think they should have ended it now that Monty isn't around. Mostly people who are unhappy with the subpar writing of the last few volumes. Which is like, it's not as bad as they're saying, but like, it's not perfect either.
Yeah.
And I will readily admit that. Like, I do think the worst thing that they did in the last volume was like a throwaway trans character, essentially.
Yeah, well, it's better than it was before. Because before they were like, yeah, look at this character, she was trans, and then it wasn't. Like, if it's not in the show, then it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah. But, like, this time around, they were like, look, it's in the show. She's going to get her own important speech about where she reveals that she was trans and that her parents didn't respect her. And it's like, okay, I get it. But also, this character hasn't contributed anything other than this and will continue not to, other than being, like, a background force.
I thought she was, like, doing stuff. She was, like, being a leader, kind of.
She was there, but she was really one of Robin's mooks more than anything.
Yeah. Well, last season, yeah, but let's see the Robin in jail.
Yeah. It's just, it's such a, like... You know, you didn't show the transition on screen, and like your drop was essentially like, you think your life's been hard? I'm trans, and it's like, okay, like, sure, that you have a trans character now. Are you happy? Do you think that everyone was going to be happy with this one? Like, because it's so like a trans character would be so cool. You know, and there's so much things to work with, too, in RWBY. It's just like, how did this person figure out that they were trans? Why did they figure it out? This is such a different world and a different culture from what we're used to. And, of course, the acceptance of someone who is trans or, you know, anything in the LGBTQIA, yada, yada, is, like, higher in this world, you know? Like, no one questioned the gay couple with the kid that I'm not remembering the name of right now. No one in universe questioned that. They didn't go like, oh yeah, they faced a bunch of challenges because of their love for each other. They're just like, nah, this is just how it is. Representation, baby. So obviously, like, there isn't the same level of like discrimination against those things. But here they actively said, well, this person had a hard life because they're trans, so there is some kind of discrimination that they've faced. So in Remnants, this completely separate world from ours, where there is still somehow discrimination, how does someone...
definitely racism.
Well, yes, but a different, like, a racism that's completely safe to write for white people.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, in this world in which there is definitely discrimination, at least against trans people by at least some people, how do you figure out that you're trans? Like, do you know from birth? Is there something in your semblance that might have, like, a hint? You know, there's a lot of things to work with there, and they just decided not to do any of that. They skipped like transition, or they skipped everything entirely, and then what they did is they shoehorned in a swift stock backstory for their representation character.
Like, I don't think showing the transition is necessary at all.
That's true. It's not necessary, but like, it'd be better if it wasn't a stock one, in my opinion. But also, this is an opinion of a cis white guy, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Like, you know, I didn't mind that scene at all. But like, my entire experience with RWBY is I watch it once and I think, this is good, and then later I hear people explain why it's bad, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. I just remember, like, while I was watching, that scene happened, and I was like, this was... It's such a hard feeling to describe, because it's like, I'm not the person this is appealing to, right? And I can respect that you are going for something important and good here, but it felt so, like, heavy-handed. It's like, the way you did this wasn't good. Like, your goal was fine here. Like, this is a great thing to be doing. The representation is good and important, but like, the character and the way it was revealed and the reason it was revealed could have all just been so much better. And like, it wasn't even a case of this isn't going to be the same level of like representation in like 10 years kind of thing, where it's like, this was really progressive for its time, but it doesn't hold up kind of thing. This is just, this doesn't hold up now and it won't hold up in 10 years either. least that's what it felt like.
Yeah, I think there's not an easy way to write in, like, communicate to the audience that the character is trans without, like,
Yeah.
going into their trauma or whatever, like, in depth.
Yeah.
There is
or
a
like
point
risking
between,
sexualizing.
that and then just saying like, oh yeah, this character is, like without showing it at all, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
or you can risk like sexualizing them in a kind of other bad negative shit.
Like, I don't care what the character's backstory is, but she should have done more. Should have been more of a. Should have played a bigger role, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
And then that seemed exactly the same. Would have been better.
Well, I think it's wild that they get to Atlas and then like they're like, okay, this next season this next like volume is only going to be like 3 or so days time wise, like in the timeline, and then it still felt rushed. And also, Ironwood's semblance sucks. So Ironwood's semblance is literally just an excuse for him to become a villain. Fucking guys! Alright. Because I'm sure Ironwood was always going to be a villain. Because he's definitely the kind of guy that's like, for the greater good, I need to do this, right? And I think that's always been baked into his character. But the way they went about it was pretty bad. Because they just said, like, yeah, his semblance can let him turn off his empathy so that he can get what he needs to get done and, like, be very logical and good. Which is bad. Because that is directly implying that what he's doing is the right thing, or at least he is very certain it is the right thing, thanks to his, like, perfect logic semblance. And it's so very obvious that he's about to commit genocide. Like, for the sake of, like, he's going to genocide these people so that a bunch of other people don't get genocided, and it's like there's no right answer here.
Like, when you explain it about like what his semblance is and what that means in a meta sense, yeah, that sounds stupid. But like, I don't remember them saying that in the show.
That's because they don't.
Yeah. So like, it seemed natural enough to me. Like, I didn't know what his semblance was. He just seemed like,
Yeah, it's just like, it feels like a Band-Aid.
Like, yeah, I get it.
It feels like a Band-Aid, though, to me, in a way of like, if someone was like, someone who's like, this is in character for him, which, like I said, it kind of is. He is kind of that character that would be doing this thing because he thinks it's right. But the thing is, if you're someone who goes, if you're someone who goes, I don't think this is in character, you can default to the answer of, well, it's a semblance. As opposed to saying, well, but he had all of these motivating factors, yada, yada, yada. So in that way, it has that, like, Band-Aid feeling to me.
Well, yeah, definitely. If it's not in the show and they just said, well, yeah, this is why he's like this. Yeah. I mean, they just didn't need to do that at all. This would just be what he's like. Yeah. Like, that's what it seemed like to me. Granted,
there are a lot of characters and a lot of semblances that we don't learn in the show at all. Like, we only know Neapolitan's semblance because she's in the app game that they made, where, like, she's a character that you can send on a battlefield, and part of that is having her semblance be explained in her character bio, which is, I think it's called overactive imagination.
What does it do?
She can make, like, clones or whatever of herself. Okay. Or, like, she can make like, physical reality manifestations of shit that just shatter, the things she's been doing. Okay. Or like, what's his face?
Like, so that for a second, like, isn't her thing, like, being in disguise? But I guess that was, like, Emerald's semblance, actually?
Well, no, Emerald's semblance only works on, like, a few people at a time, so, like, Neo is just wearing that, like, disguise a lot of the time, and, like, changing her eye color, I'm pretty sure. But, like, the reason she can do that is because her semblance kind of, like, creates solid objects, I suppose. But I mean, there are other semblances that, like, we had no place really learning from the show. Like, you remember Talk?
No.
The girl who blinded Maria in the background. She was the alligator girl with the iron teeth and the swords. She turned a clock on in the beginning of her fight. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. You know Maria, right? The person who had silver eyes.
Lady Maria of the Astral Clock Tower?
That is a cool boss fight. But
when was this?
This was in Ruby. when
Yeah,
they were
but-
talking about silver eyes and yada
Like,
yada.
what volume was it in?
Fucking like 6
Oh, what? Huh. It was volume
What
6,
are they
I
up to
should
now?
remember it.
or like 8 now, I think.
Yeah, 8 was the one that just ended.
Yeah, but like. You know, it's the Nevermore. She kills the Nevermore, and then Talk shows up, and she's like, "I'm here to kill you," because she has like a Cockney accent. And then Maria successfully kills Talk, but Talk took her eyes, so she doesn't have the silver eye powers anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, you remember her, right?
I didn't remember that her name was Maria.
Maria the Caldera? She's an old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you said old lady, I knew you were talking about.
That's fair. But yeah, Talk is the person that took her eyesight, right? She shows up for that scene and dies. But thanks to like outer knowledge, we know that her semblance is once she activates her semblance for 60 seconds, she's invincible and nothing can get past her aura.
Huh.
Which is why she was such a good assassin. And that's somewhat communicated by the show because of the whole. Because Talk is based on the alligator from Captain Hook
Oh, yeah.
as her fantasy basis, which is really fucking cool. You know, because she has the ticking clock when she fights because she's immune for a minute, right? That's a really well thought out character that shows up for like a fucking second, and of course we never learn what her actual semblance is, but we know that her semblance is that because of like other stuff.
What's her purple count at?
I think we're good. Yeah, baby.
Nice.
Thanks for sitting through Porkchips' shitty takes, viewers. Oh god.
Like, the thing about Iron semblance is, that is a bit, band-aid that they put on because, this is the explanation of why he acts this way. But because it's not in the show, like, if you don't know that they applied that band-aid, then it's not a problem at all. Like,
Yeah.
if you know about it, you just think that's stupid, but it's not a problem with the show. It's a problem with, like, the lore, I guess.
That's true.
But, like, unless you read a lore book, it doesn't matter.
Because, like I said, I think the thing about Ruby is, you want to talk about solved media. Monty Ohm left like a shit ton of notes behind, so I'm pretty sure that what the okay.
They're probably still following the general idea you laid out, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he was probably always going to be a villain. It's just. Like instead of having Monty Ohm lead the charge on writing and characterization, they had to figure out that they probably had like, okay, and then Ironwood becomes a villain in this volume, and they had to be like, how do we do that? And then the way they did it wasn't very graceful.
What are we doing now?
Well, I was just
If
gonna.
only more media could plan things out,
Yeah, really.
like ahead of time. Especially
I know why
really
this guy is
big
here.
big media that has tons of time and money to put into it.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're going to take it in different directorial directions, like, you can still,
Have a story Bible.
have a consistent vision of where you're going with it.
Yes, that's exactly the thing. Like, obviously, the whole, all 3 Star Wars sequel movies would have been better if they had a plan for where this plot was going. But also, like, I think,
Just gonna go get yellows.
like, episodes 7
Oh,
and
fuck.
8 are both perfectly good movies. Like, even though, even though there wasn't, like, a plan.
Yeah.
Episode, like, the Last Jedi built off of what
I mean,
The Force Awakens set up pretty well, and it also set up a path for what could happen next. And then J.J. Abrams was like, actually, I'm going to ignore all of this.
yeah. I mean, I will say, like, I like The Last Jedi. I like, fine enough. I have come around to the camp of, like, I don't care for the Canto Bite scene, only because it just feels like it's not doing anything.
Yeah,
I haven't even rewatched it. I've only seen it once.
I've seen Force Awakens like probably a good amount of times. I've only ever seen Last Jedi and Return of or Rise of Skywalker once.
Holy shit.
Each.
Those are all going to the blues.
Just like, okay.
I've only seen The Rise of Skywalker once.
Yeah. Like, I'd like to watch it. I'd like to rewatch it, with friends, so we can make fun of it together.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Because the thing is, like, it's still... I mean, there's a shit ton of stuff to complain about in that movie. Basically all of it valid. But, like, it's still it's a movie worth watching.
I think the one cool thing I think is the the forced teleportation stuff.
Yeah.
Fun.
What was up with that again? Oh yeah, the way that like
because they figure
Rey
out
and Kylo,
through their dyad.
Because I already had that connection from Last Jedi, and then they were doing that again, but they were like physically affecting stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah. It is a very literal translation of something that was pretty good cinema otherwise, but like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure there's like a ton of fucking essays about how that totally breaks the universe.
I don't think so. I think I think rule of cool. It should like.
It's more explainable with like they have that force dyad doohickey going on, so like they get a special pass for a cool force power here that other people probably don't have access to.
Also, the force dyad is like perfect Star Wars nonsense.
Yeah. Hi, I'm also a Star Wars fan. I hope I wasn't insufferable enough already as like a fucking Ruby fan.
Yeah, I think The Last Jedi was a really good movie for not having been, for there being no plan for what should come after The Force Awakens.
Yeah,
and like it probably wouldn't have been that hard to make The Rise of Skywalker also work in the same way, but then it just didn't happen out that way.
Yeah. It was what's the big like thing? It was too obsessed with answers.
Yeah, which is weird. Well, because like J.J. Abrams' thing is like he likes to create questions without answers.
Yeah, mystery boxes, right?
Yeah, which he did in The Rise of Skywalker, and it was just weird. Like the
it's a fun thing to do when you're making like a weekly collaborative comic.
Yeah.
But when you're making something for like a multi-billion-dollar franchise, I want to like
tone it back a bit.
Yeah.